Hey party people, today we're going to draw legs. And I'm going to have a ZZ Top earworm all day long. I think I just dated myself. Oh well. Is there anyone on YouTube that's older than 24? Not to say I'm 24. I am so much older than 24. It's not even funny. Alright, today we're going to work on leg anatomy. We're going to turn our robotic little tubular legs. Speaking of 80s, freaking tubular. Do you remember when tubular used to mean something cool? No? Yeah, because nobody over the age of 24 is on YouTube. Right. Tubular. We're moving away from tubular legs to legs that have actual bone markers and muscles and things like that. All right. So let's start by taking a look at our hip and leg bones. So go ahead, when I'm talking about these things, I want you to go ahead and feel these things on your own body. Somehow it makes things seem more real, okay, more memorable. It's like, oh yeah, that's my quad, that's my kneecap. All right. I'm going to go over quite a bit of anatomy today and in the next video when I go over upper body anatomy. And trust me, I'm not trying to turn you into doctors. I'm not trying to throw a whole bunch of anatomical vocabulary at you, but there are just some basic things that you have to know, just like basic muscle things that you should consider when you're learning about bodies to become a better designer. So let's start here, okay? Your natural waist is about there. And so when you're making your patterns or when you're draping on a mannequin, you know, you have natural waist and then approximately 4 inches down on a sample size, regular sample size, you have your high hip measurement, okay? And that's marked with your ilium, which is this hip bone that sticks out. And you should be able to feel it on your own body, like right here. This is your ilium. It's part of your pelvis. Your pubis is here. And then on the same level as your pubis is this bony protrusion here, okay? And you'll feel it on your own hip, okay? Go down to crotch level, and then on the sides of your hips, you'll feel that bony protrusion. Part of your femur. Your femur is your thigh bone, and the top of your thigh bone has these two giant knobs, okay? This knob sticks out here. My guess is we've evolved to have these protrusions to protect people's reproductive organs. And this giant knob goes into the pelvis, connects to the pelvis. There are two kinds of joints in the human body. There are ball and socket joints where you have a round protrusion that fits into a socket like so, and they can move around in a lot of different directions, right? So think about how you can swing your leg around in all kinds of directions from your hip because it's a ball and socket joint. Obviously, so is my arm. All right? So we have your ball and socket joint in here, your giant femur in here, and then the bottom of your femur is really, really big too. And then in the front is your patella, which is your kneecap. Right, go ahead and feel your patella. And you may be thinking, wow, this person's patella is really, really small and mine is really, really long. Some people think that their kneecap is really long and triangular. But what it is it's your patella here and your tibial tuberosity here, and all the cartilage and tendons and ligaments connecting these two to form your kneecap. And then we have the two bones of your calf. You have your giant tibia, which is the weight-bearing bone. So your tibial tuberosity is in the front of your tibia. You can feel it on your own person, that protrusion right there. And I keep talking about all the stuff around your knee because we're going to draw those, and drawing your kneecap, articulating your kneecap is going to help your leg look more structured. Then we have your fibula, which is this small, skinny little bone there. And because I am not a doctor, I have no idea what the fibula is for. Just hanging out, whatever. I bet it's good for something, but what that is, I don't know. But if you know, feel free to email me or leave a comment. And then these two bones come together and sit on top of all of your ankle bones and foot bones. The tibia, the bottom of your tibia, is a little bit higher than the bottom of your fibula. So when you draw your ankle bones, you're going to draw a lower ankle bone on the outside and a higher ankle bone on the inside. You're going to create this angle in your ankle. Angle in your ankle. Say that 5 times fast. Let's look at some muscles. All right, so let's start with this front view. The front of your thigh, these muscles are called your quads, your quadriceps. Quad for 4, because there are 4 main groups of muscles. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And the back of your quad is your hamstring. And yeah, it looks like a giant ham. Not only does it look like a giant ham, but behind the knee, it makes this H, okay? So it's really hard to forget. H for hamstring. Right. And then we have our knee here. Not a lot of muscle and fat covering the kneecap. And then your calf muscles, your gastrocnemius, wrapping, curving in these ways. Your waist is here. Flare out for the hip. That's crotch level. And again, the widest part of your hips is at crotch level. Whether you're drawing a man or a woman, the widest part of your hips is going to be crotch level. And, you know, if you're drawing a man, your hips will be narrower, but look, they'll still be the widest part. Once you pass the crotch, you're swooping, softly curving with these muscles. This edge is smooth, right? Now in here, okay, his penis is in the way, but just take my word for it. It curves like so. About 2/3 of the way down the thigh, you have this divot in here because of the way these two muscles are sitting together. And then you have this muscle in here above the knee. Most of the time on women, this muscle doesn't protrude that much. So I will typically just soften this curve and then wrap the curve around the knee. When you get to the knee, it's straight on the outside and round on the inside. When you get to the calf, you have this high curve on the outside of your calf muscle and the low ankle bone. And then you have this corner here from the way the muscles are sitting. And you have the low curve on the inside and the high ankle bone. For the most part, if you're using these sketches for design communication, you're not going to be sitting around articulating every single muscle and bone. Most fashion illustrations don't do that either. But you need to learn the basic shapes so that you can give the basic anatomically correct leg. We're not going to sit here and shadow in all these muscle shapes. So let's put it all together. We're going to take the muscle and bone information that you just learned. We're going to keep our visual reference handy. We've got our completed step 2, and we have the basic vertical and horizontal proportions of the leg. And now we're going to carve into it. It's like if you had a giant column of marble and you start chipping away the shapes into it. So we start at the waist, we flare out for the hip. At crotch level, we get widest. And then we start swooping in. The knee is straight on the outside, high calf curve on the outside, low ankle bone, and then the foot. And then on the inside, we have our panty line and our little thigh gap curving in, and then it divots in about 2/3 of the way down, and then we go around the knee on the inside. The knee is straight on the outside, round on the inside, and then we have this corner, also sharper here, straight here, and then curving down. Low calf, low curve on the inside, high ankle bone, and then the foot. So we have and we're going to articulate her knee. Her knee is here. Her kneecap is here. She's turned in just a little bit. So we're going to make sure her kneecap is right here. And then we're going to, do you see this shadow where you can see her tibial tuberosity? We're going to give her that too. And there's her leg. An anatomically correct, but yet simplified leg. Simplified enough to work quickly, but anatomically correct enough so that they look like real legs. Let's do this one. Again, I have my completed steps 1 and 2. I have a new piece of tracing paper. I've drawn my plumb line, marked the bottom. And then let's start with our straight leg. Again, we start at the waist and then we come out for the hip. Past the crotch level, we swoop back in. Outside of the knee is straight. High curve on the outside of the calf and low ankle bone. And then the inside curve and then divot in. The knee is round on the inside. Low curve on the inside, high ankle bone. And then her kneecap is here. She's twisted just ever so slightly, this leg, right? You know, her foot is pointing this way. You know, her kneecap is in here. And there's that leg. Now this one is an almost complete side view. And so we have to take into consideration the shape of her hamstring in the back. And then this muscle. Okay. When you look at the front view, you don't see it articulated so much, but on the side, you definitely see it. The side view of the leg, the width of her knee is wider than the front view, and so is her ankle. So we're going to keep all those things in mind. So here's your crotch. I'm going to curve out for the hamstring. And then again, curve out for this quad here. The top of the the top of the quads is pretty round. So I'm going to give that roundness here too. And her kneecap is right at the edge there. So I'm going to make the edge of it pretty sharp. I don't want it rounded. It's like it's bone there basically. High curve on the outside. And look at the shin. I want you to look at this shin. There is an outward curve there. You've seen a lot of really exaggerated fashion illustrations where you see legs that, you know, the thigh goes like this and the calf goes like that. And that's really exaggerated and really stylized. You do have an outward curved here shin. Go ahead and feel your own shin and feel that muscle and fat and everything that is protecting that bone there. So you are going to have tiny bit of an outside curve. Now look at your scrap. You also see that she's got this tiny bit of an outer curve. Her ankle is right about there, so we're gonna mark her ankle there, and then we're gonna complete her foot. And there is your anatomically correct pair of legs. Some of you may be looking at these and thinking, wow, those are really nice legs. And some of you may be thinking, wow, those legs look super fat and chubby. What the hell? You know, once you've figured out the anatomy, later in step 4, you can do all manner of things to your legs. For example, you can make her super skinny. Right? You can make her legs skinnier. You can make her look more voluptuous. You could do all kinds of things. You can make them even a little bit longer. You can make them really angular and kind of crazy looking. Right? You could do all kinds of different legs, all right? But you have to start with an understanding of the basic anatomy. And what it boils down to is no matter how much you push and pull the angles and the curves, it's always going to be waist and then coming out for the hip. Past crotch level, you go down, and then the outside of the knee is straight, high curve on the outside calf, low ankle bone. Curving around the crotch, and then divot in, curving around the knee on the inside, low curve on the calf on the inside, high ankle bone. That's always what it's going to be, and you can make the line smoother and longer and leaner, or rounder and fleshier and curvier, or angular and robotic looking, whatever you want. But those basic steps are gonna help you with every pair of legs. Let's work on this walking pose so we can address foreshortening. So let's work with this one. Again, waist, hip, swoop in for the curve, straight on the outside of the knee, curve out and high for the outside of the calf, low ankle bone. Divot in, around the knee on the inside, turn that corner, low calf curve, high ankle bone, and then her foot. Kneecap and tibial tuberosity. Now, she's walking and her calf is extremely foreshortened. We're gonna draw the same curve, high curve on the outside, low curve on the inside, but just take that curve and just squish it. Got her hip. And the knee is straight on the outside. And then your kneecap is going to be the bottom of your thigh. Go ahead and bend your leg, and the bottom, that's going to be your knee. And then you have this curving out. Ankle bone, and then her foot is here. You're going to see a little bit of her foot on the other side too. And there's your foreshortened calf in your walking pose. And again, later on, you can do all manner of changes. Any questions, comments, leave me a comment in the box below or depending on where you're watching this video, and have a go. Practice. My students in class, they're always saying, Zoe, you make it look so easy. And I say, well, would you rather your teacher be a bumbling idiot? So if you felt like I made it look really easy and when you were practicing it was really, really difficult, just keep these words in mind. I'm not made of magic. I'm made of practice. I've been drawing legs in this way for fashion figures for years and years and years. Do not get discouraged. Just keep at it. Next week, I'll be back with a video tutorial going over upper body anatomy so that we can put it all together. All right?